All right, so you guys sent in a ton of stuff this week. A lot of having to do with, well, AI, obviously.
Hey, AI is everywhere these days.
Yeah. And also, some really cool creator-focused updates on some of the bigger platforms. I think this will be a fun deep dive. I'm Scott, by the way, and welcome to the weekly Freelance Bar podcast.
I'm Sarah. And yeah, it's interesting to see, all these separate updates, but if you kind of zoom out, you can see some bigger changes kind of happening in the background, right? Like these are all little pieces of a much larger puzzle.
Right. Okay, so let's start with Google. Google's making this is a pretty huge transition.
Okay.
They're going from Google Assistant, we all know, and some of us love Google Assistant,
Right.
to Gemini. And this is on pretty much every mobile device.
Yeah, they're really pushing Gemini hard, aren't they? It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because this isn't just like a little app update. This is like the core way that they want people to be interacting with their devices.
Yeah, think about it. Like, if you're on your phone right now, you probably have Google Assistant somewhere, a swipe away or button press away.
Mm.
And that's going away for most people.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in the app stores anymore for most devices. They did say that some older devices will still have access, but
Right.
like new phones, forget about it. You're getting Gemini.
Wow. So it really is like a complete shift. It makes you wonder if other companies are going to follow suit. Do you think Apple's going to completely overhaul Siri? Probably not, but it's an interesting thought.
I think, everyone in tech is watching this very closely. Like, is Google onto something here? Are we really moving into this world where, we're not tapping and swiping as much? We're just talking to our devices.
Yeah, and it's not just phones, right?
No, this is going everywhere. Your tablets, your car,
Your fridge.
your fridge, exactly. Any device that can connect to the internet, they're planning to put Gemini on it.
That's a bold move for sure.
Yeah. Google hasn't actually shown us what the, new Gemini experience is going to look like on these different devices. They've just kind of announced it's coming.
Yeah.
But I think over the next few months, we're going to see a lot more of Gemini kind of popping up everywhere.
Exciting times. Okay, so speaking of AI and big changes, what's Microsoft up to?
Yeah, so Microsoft has also been making some really interesting moves with AI, but in a much more subtle way. So they're putting AI-powered summaries into Notepad.
Notepad.
Notepad, yeah. That little app that we've all been using for years to just jot down quick notes.
Like the most basic text editor?
Exactly. But now, if you're a Windows insider and you're in the Canary or the dev channels, you can actually highlight some text in Notepad, and there's this new option that says Summarize. And you click it, and boom, gives you a summary of that text.
Huh. That's actually kind of cool. I use Notepad all the time for like just brainstorming or making quick lists. So being able to get a summary of, a long list of ideas or a bunch of notes from a meeting, that could actually be really useful.
Yeah. And, it's not just that. They've also added some other nice features like, a way to see your recently closed files, which is something that Notepad really needed.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they've also added the ability to draw in the snipping tool. So you can, take a screenshot and then you can draw little arrows and circles and stuff on it.
Nice. Okay. So even though these updates are pretty small, they kind of show how AI is, slowly but surely making its way into like even the most mundane tools.
Exactly. I think that's the really interesting thing here, right? It's like with Google, it's this big splashy, front and center kind of change. And then with Microsoft, it's like, oh, it's just in Notepad, but it's still AI. And I think that's something that we're going to see more and more of.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll start to see like a combination of those two approaches, right? Like maybe we'll have these big splashy AI features, but then also these more subtle integrations that just make our lives a little bit easier.
Totally. Okay, so let's switch gears a bit and talk about something that's specifically for creators. So Meta has announced that they are now allowing creators in their content monetization program to earn money from public views of their Facebook stories.
Really? Wow, that's interesting. So is this like their answer to, TikTok and Instagram Reels?
Yeah, I think so. Short form videos become so popular, and Meta is really trying to, keep up with the competition. So now if you're a creator on Facebook and you're part of their content monetization program, you can actually start making money from your stories, just like you can on, TikTok and Instagram Reels.
I guess this makes sense. Stories are a great way to connect with your audience, right? They're quick, they're engaging, and people seem to really enjoy them. So it makes sense that Meta would want to incentivize creators to make more of them and, give them a way to earn some money from it.
Right. And for those who aren't in the program yet, they can apply. So it's a good opportunity for creators to, expand their reach and maybe start making some money from their content.
It also makes you think about the future of content creation, right? Like, how are platforms going to continue to evolve to support creators and help them make a living? It's a constantly changing landscape.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to another interesting update from Google. This one is for the gamers out there. So Google has announced that all mobile Android games will now be available by default on Google Play Games for PC,
Wait, really? All of them?
unless the developers choose to opt out.
Hmm.
So basically, if you have a PC, you can now play pretty much any Android game.
Wow. That's a game changer, literally. I mean, before it was kind of hit or miss, right? Like some games were available, some weren't, but now it's like the floodgates are open.
Yeah. And to help people navigate this massive library of games, Google is also introducing a playability badge system. So you'll be able to see which games are optimized to run well on your PC.
Oh, that's smart. Because I know some Android games, they don't always translate well to the PC. Like the controls might be clunky or the graphics might not look as good.
Right. But with these badges, you'll be able to quickly identify the games that are going to give you the best experience on your PC.
Makes sense. Okay, so moving on. Snapchat is getting in on the AI action with some fun new features.
Yeah, so Snapchat is rolling out AI-powered video lenses for their Platinum subscribers. And these lenses feature animated animals and flowers.
Well, that sounds cute. Like what kind of animations?
So they showed off a few examples, like you could have a little fox sitting on your shoulder, or you could have raccoons, like, climbing around above your head,
Yeah.
or you could have flowers blooming all around you.
That's adorable. I can see that being really popular.
Yeah, I think it's a really clever way to use AI to enhance, the visual experience on Snapchat.
Right. It's like it's not just about, making things look better. It's about adding this extra layer of fun and creativity.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And they're planning to release yes, in this feature.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, you got to keep things fresh and exciting on social media, right? Otherwise, people get bored and move on to the next big thing.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about OpenAI.
All right. What have they been up to?
So OpenAI has unveiled some new tools for developers to build AI agents. And these tools include the Responses API, which is designed for tasks like web searches and document processing. And they've also released the Agents SDK, which is, a software development kit. It's basically a set of tools for building applications. And this SDK is designed to help developers coordinate multiple AI functionalities.
Hmm. So it sounds like they're really trying to give developers the tools they need to create some pretty sophisticated AI-powered applications.
Yeah. I mean, these are the building blocks for things that, we can't even imagine yet. Like, what if you had an AI that could, search the web for you, summarize documents, and then, write an email for you based on all that information?
That would be wild. And maybe a little bit scary, but definitely interesting.
Yeah. And the plan is to integrate the Responses API into their existing offerings by mid-2026.
Okay, so they're thinking long term.
Yeah. And they're also saying that they're going to be making improvements based on user feedback. So, as people start using these tools and building applications, OpenAI is going to be listening to what they have to say and making changes accordingly.
I think that's really important, right? Because AI is still such a new and rapidly evolving field. So it's crucial to have that feedback loop between the developers and the users.
Absolutely. So if we look at all these updates together, from Google, Microsoft, Meta, Snapchat, OpenAI, I think it's pretty clear that AI is becoming a much bigger part of our lives.
Yeah, it's not just a futuristic concept anymore. It's here, it's now, it's in our phones, it's in our computers, it's even in our notepads.
Right. And I think it's really important for everyone to start thinking about how these changes are going to affect their own lives.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to use these new AI tools? How is AI going to change the way you work, the way you create content, the way you consume information?
Right. These are all important questions to consider.
Yeah. And I think we're just at the beginning of this, AI revolution. So buckle up, because things are about to get really interesting.
Yeah, I'm a little scared, but mostly excited to see what happens next.
Me too.
That's all for this week. Remember to follow us on YouTube, blueskynext.com for hourly news updates. Stay connected.